Hey guys, TommyBryson here, and let's say for example, I knew nothing when it comes to investing. I'm an amateur, I'm a beginner, and I want to get started, but the only thing I know is that basically, with the Robinhood app, I click buy, the stock goes up, it goes down, but I don't know what's causing it, I don't know how to study the company, I don't know anything really. I'm still an amateur, I'm still a beginner. So what are 5 books I would actually read to help me go from beginner to, in a way, become an expert when it comes to picking stocks and which ones to actually go out there and buy for the long term to then go ahead and make a lot of money? That's what I'm going to give you guys right here in this video. And by the way, some of these books have very dense language, so that's why I ordered these books from beginner to intermediate towards the end, okay? Because when you get started, you want to start with something easy and then work yourself up to more complicated things, but at that point, you'll already understand a lot of the language they're actually sharing with you guys, okay? And by the way, guys, if you guys are new here, I post videos every single day, so you should also subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified. On top of that, also destroying the like button. And by the way, guys, these 5 books right here are just to get started. I'm gonna be honest here. So far, I've read well over 200 books so far, and the more you read, the more you find out that there's more out there that you actually don't know. But with these 5 books right here, you can easily just get started and understand exactly what you're actually doing, okay? So it's the perfect 5 books to actually get started when it comes to investing. And now, guys, the first book I actually recommend is called The Little Book About Common Sense Investing by Jack Bogle. Now, Jack Bogle is actually the guy that actually invented the entire index funds when it comes to Vanguard. Now, on top of that, he just recently passed away last year in 2019, but when he died and passed away, he was worth around $80 million. I tell you that because basically, when you learn from someone, you want to make sure they actually have a track record and actually have wealth. That way, you know, hey, if I do what this guy did, I can basically get what he actually got. And that's the whole point to why I'm telling you how much he was worth, how long he's been doing it for, and what his credentials actually are. But on top of that, in this book right here, he's going to tell you exactly why index fund investing is actually a good idea. On top of that, why you don't need to hire an expert and pay them between 1 to 2% of your portfolio every single year to manage it, because in reality, they're just going to cost you a ton of money and they're not going to beat the stock market every single year. So in reality, it's not going to be worth it. But most importantly, this book, the core idea is basically, hey, here is why if you want to become rich in the stock market, you don't have to be a stock picker. You don't have to pick Amazon or Apple or Tesla. You can easily just invest into the entire stock market, get the average, and over years, because of compound interest, you're going to get basically less risk, similar returns, and that way you can still get wealthy without having to go out there and pick stocks left and right. It's basically another perspective when it comes to what I know you are already thinking about. For example, I know for a fact you already know what companies you actually want to buy. You like Amazon, you like Apple, you like Tesla, you like the big companies out there, but it's important to know exactly that that's basically not the only choice when it comes to investing. There's also index fund investing, which basically means you invest into a diversified portfolio of a lot of different stocks, and in reality, that way you carry a lot less risk. And by the way, an index fund is basically a fund that's pulled together with a lot of money. And what they do is basically they buy a bunch of stocks to basically track a certain index. For example, the S&P 500 index fund. What are you tracking? The largest 500 companies in the US. So what do you own? The largest 500 companies in the US, and you own it in bulk, and that way you get the average return every single year of that index right there, which is basically the S&P 500. That is all it is. Now, the second book I recommend is called A Random Walk Down Wall Street by Burton G. Malkiel. Now, this guy right here is a great author. The book, great book. I like it. Dramatic, exposes people, tells you stories you don't know, and on top of that, tells you the truth. And it's not boring. I hate boring books. But he's not a likable person by Wall Street experts, because basically he exposes the F out of them, okay? He tells you the truth, everything about Wall Street, and tells you, hey, when you think a money expert is more smart than you are, in reality, they're not that smart at all. If they're not going to beat the market for you and they're just charging you fees, all they're actually doing is taking your money, making money off of that and commissions, and in reality, you're just left with the crumbs. So that's not what you actually want to do. So in this book, he tells you, for example, hey, here is the type of investor you actually want to be. He tells you about the odds and probabilities of actually investing, and also the types of investors, and also a lot of scams that went on when it comes to investing that are going on today, but just in a different light and in a different way. So if you want to learn about investing, the truth about Wall Street, and basically the types of investors and what you actually could be and want to be, this right here is a great book, and that's why it's number 2. It tells you, for example, hey, if you want to be a stock picker, here are your odds. If you want to be an index investor, here are your odds. It tells you the truth. It doesn't hold back punches, and it tells you, for example, hey, those people on Wall Street don't care about you. All they want to do is make money, and in reality, they're not smarter than you at all, okay? And that's a very honest book, very dramatic, and that's why people usually in Wall Street don't like the guy that much. But is he honest? Is he truthful? Are these facts? The answer is yes. All facts in this book. Now, by the way, guys, here's one more tip about this book here. It basically supports the idea of the first book I recommended by telling you, hey, that's the truth they told you in that book, but in reality, here is why that's the truth, and here is the dirty truth when it comes to Wall Street also. It supports the ideas you already heard in the first book I recommended. The third book is called One Up on Wall Street by Peter Lynch. Now, this is a book you're actually going to read if you read book 1 and 2, but you still want to be a stock picker and go out there and select stocks that you actually want to invest into individually. By this point, you know for a fact, an index fund is a passive way to own the stock market and basically make a return over the long term and still get wealthy and still make a lot of money without having to do all the work. However, if you still want to stock pick, well, here is the book I recommend, because basically it's simple to understand and it's also very good at storytelling, but it also breaks down exactly the how-to when it comes to investing. Now, by the way, if you don't know who Peter Lynch is, this is a guy that basically was a money manager at Fidelity, and if you invested into his fund $10,000, once he was done for 13 years, you would have made a little bit over $200K on your $10,000 investment. And by the way, he's worth around $450 million. So he knows exactly what he is talking about. And by the way, the most truthful thing I heard in this book is basically, do not listen to the news when it comes to Wall Street. Do not take advice from Wall Street about a stock to actually buy, because by the time they actually heard about it, it's too late and that stock is far gone already. Because that's when institutions start to invest into the companies, and that's when the prices go crazy and crazy and crazy. You'll know what I'm talking about once you read this book right here. But the core of this book, guys, is basically a book that teaches you exactly how to go out there and pick a stock, but more importantly, how to create a story when it comes to a stock and have supporting facts and ideas when it comes to that stock, okay? For example, let's say I want to invest into Amazon. Well, what's the story there? Well, Amazon is a great company. It does a lot of sales every single year. It's massive. It has its own distribution, so it's awesome. But in reality, okay, you have that information there, but now let's do research on it, okay? Why is Amazon a good investment? What are the financials of the company? What type of company actually is it? Is it cyclical? Is it, for example, a turnaround company? Is it a blue chip company? What exactly is Amazon at a core? And then that's when you actually go into the company and analyze it completely with accounting skills and also finance skills. So it tells you exactly how to do all that stuff in a very simplistic way. But more importantly, it tells you, for example, hey, don't study those big companies already. Go out there and learn about new companies on the come up, when to buy them, and when to actually sell them to make, for example, a 10-bagger. Now, by the way, a 10-bagger is basically when you buy a company and make 10x your money. So far, I've only made maybe like 2x, and that was once, but a 10-bagger is what you actually want to get to when you invest $1,000 and you get back $10,000. For example, imagine investing $10,000 and getting back $100K, or investing $100K and getting back $1 million. And basically, Peter Lynch did that a lot of times, and that's why I recommend this book right here. It tells you what investing is in a very simplistic way to actually understand it. But again, it's just a beginner book when it comes to stock picking. So there are other books you will need to read after you're done with this one right here. Now, book number 4 is Common Stocks and Uncommon Profits by Phil Fisher. Now, Phil Fisher is a legendary investor that you're going to hear about from Warren Buffett and also Charlie Munger, and even, for example, Peter Lynch. Because basically, Phil Fisher is the guy that basically created a lot of the things we use today when it comes to value investing. More importantly, for example, the 15 points when it comes to what to look for in a company and what to actually invest into. And by the way, his son is actually Kenneth, also Kenneth Fisher. And by the way, Kenneth is worth around $4.5 billion. But by the way, Phil Fisher is not around anymore. He actually passed away back in 2004 because of Alzheimer's, and that's a crazy disease, and that's some crazy stuff, okay? But his book, Common Stocks and Uncommon Profits, tells you exactly what to look for when it comes to investing, and also exactly how to go out there and select a stock, basically with very simplistic information. And again, all of these books are basically about, hey, how do you form a story about these stocks, and then what information do you actually have to support that story, and why you should actually go out there and invest into it. But none of these books are basically about, hey, buy the stock today and become rich tomorrow. None of them actually do that, and most likely because all of them are actually successful investors that know exactly what it takes to be a good investor, and selling overnight is not what it takes at all. Now, the final book here, number 5, is actually The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. Now, this book right here was book number 3 that I actually read when I actually started investing, but it was a very difficult book to actually understand and actually grasp. And by the way, Warren Buffett basically gives Benjamin Graham a lot of props when it comes to him getting started investing and how to actually understand investing. Because basically, a lot of these books tell you, hey, here's what to look for, here's how to analyze the core of the business. But then Benjamin Graham tells you exactly, well, how exactly do you go about analyzing a company with formulas and also ratios? So basically it tells you exactly, hey, here's the how to when it comes to investing, but it is a little bit more complicated to actually understand. So I recommend when you actually read it, have Google by your side. That way you know exactly what they're actually saying at all times. Now, by the way, guys, so far, if you made it all the way to the end of the video and you're going to basically read all 5 of these books, I recommend when you read them, just take your time with them and understand them at its core, because the more you understand, the better you will be. And by the way, if you want to also start a dummy portfolio with stocks you actually analyze, not real money, that way while you're actually reading, you're practicing. The key to knowledge, the key to wealth is applying the knowledge you actually learn. When I started learning about investing, I was out there actually investing at the same time. I don't recommend that. I recommend you make a dummy portfolio to try out the ideas and see exactly how they work and what to actually look for. That's the core idea when it comes to investing. And by the way, if you want 2 extra books, well, here they are for making it all the way to the end of the video. For example, Security and Analysis by Benjamin Graham and also David Dodd. And lastly, The Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith. Now, those 2 books right there are dense. They're not for beginners, but once you read those 5 books right there, you're no longer really going to be a beginner either. So I highly recommend, if you want to learn more about the economy, investing, and also analyzing stocks and securities, make sure to go ahead and read those 2 books right there. And by the way, with Security and Analysis, Warren Buffett recommends you basically read the 2nd edition, but I actually read the 6th edition, but I'm actually going to read the 2nd edition again to see exactly what all the hype is actually about. But guys, that is about it for this video. Comment down below and let me know if it was helpful, if you're going to get started. And by the way, if you want 2 free books, I have a link down below to Audible. When you sign up, you go ahead and get 2 free books, any of the books right here. And if you actually cancel, you still get to keep those books right there. Link down below to Audible. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. And as always, like this video if you liked it. On top of that, also subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified when I post a video. And before I go, if you want to DM me or text me or talk to me one-on-one on the phone, go to my Patreon link down below. Send me a DM on Instagram at TommyBryson. And before I go, if you want to see exactly what my net worth is and how good I've been doing so far with investing, here's that video right here. And see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and as always, peace.